Hey, what's going on, Reckless? Welcome back for another week. Excited that you are tuning in, whether live right now on YouTube or you are watching this after the fact and you are tuning in and watching our video. Excited that you are leaning in and a part of our ministry in this way. And this week's video is a special week because this is our last one. This is the last one of the school year. We are meeting on this Sunday night on May the 22nd for our last week of Reckless in person. And so this is also our last week for this school year. And so excited that we'll be jumping back in with you guys in this way in August when school kicks back off. So on August the 7th will be our first Sunday night of the new school year. So excited that you are tuning in for this week's video. And I want to take a moment here at the top just to say a couple thank yous. Because the video that we put together every single week for you and allow you to be able to watch and tune in and be a part of our ministry in this way could not happen without some very specific people. And so I want to first give a shout out to our virtual group leaders, to Al and Renee. So grateful for both of them. They are there ready to engage in conversation live every single week. And so sometimes there's a handful of students, sometimes they don't have very many at all, and yet they're faithful to show up every week and just to be ready to welcome you, to encourage you in your faith, to create an environment for you to ask questions and to wrestle with things and to grow in your relationship with Jesus and who He's calling you to be. And so Al and Renee, thank you guys so much. We love you and are grateful for you. I also want to give a shout out and a thank you to the students that help put this video together every week. So Ashley in particular is our video editor. So she does all of the editing for our videos every week, shows up oftentimes right after school and helps edit both the message and some of the other content that we have together. And then some of the others that help every week, Cooper has been involved, Avery has been involved. I know Ashley and some others have jumped in and been a part throughout the year as well. And so for all of you students, thank you guys so much for you contributing in this way and using the gifts that God's given you and just taking ownership of this video and help make it happen. So thank you for tuning in every week. Thank you for just being a part of it. We would love any week, especially once we kick off in the school year, for you to join us in person. So in some ways we do this because some of you can't, you're not able to. For some, maybe you're watching this and then you join us in person, and that's awesome. And we definitely want you to jump in and to be a part of what we're doing in person, week in and week out. So we are finishing our last week of Different, and so let's get to that right now. Well, it has been an incredible year. It's been a different year. As we're relearning how to do ministry, and so many things have changed since COVID. But one of the things that I love that I've seen take place this year is just the amount of discipleship of students, you guys taking steps, really significant steps in your faith and in your journey. And so it's less about the big crowd and how many people we have show up, and it's more about just seeing the fruit, seeing you guys take steps in your faith, which is incredible. And so we are finishing our last week of Different, finishing this year where we're focused, like we always are, on trying to raise up your generation to be the future of the church. And so in order for you to do that, I think one of the points of this series is to help you discover, as you follow Jesus with everything that you've got, it's going to look drastically different than other people who are not following Jesus. And so we've been called to be set apart. We've been called in so many ways to live with a different mindset, a different belief system, different values than what the world around us has. And so to help equip you and to prepare you to be ready to stand out and to be different. And that's a really, really good thing. And so as we start for this week's video, our last one, I want you to think for just a minute back to a trip that you took that was like the best trip you've ever been on. Or as you think about your childhood or even recently, what is that place that you look at that was your favorite place that you've ever been to, that favorite trip that you've ever been a part of? Maybe it was that one year to grandma's. Maybe it was the trip to the Grand Canyon that your family took. Maybe it was a trip to the beach. But what is that trip that was the best trip you've ever taken? Now, as I was thinking about this question, I thought back to the time that we took our kids to Disney World. It was back in 2015. My kids, I'd been one time to Disney like in middle school. My wife had never been, Angie had never been, our kids had never been. And so we were like, man, we got to take our kids to Disney, but it's expensive. And so we were like, well, we'll get these day passes and we'll drive down there and we'll spend one day at Magic Kingdom. And so it was less, what I remember back was, I mean, it was an incredible trip and we had a lot of fun and great memories. But what I remember most about that was how we told our kids that we were going to take the trip. And so I thought it'd be fun for you to check out this video.
There's green. Whoa. What is in this? There's blue. I got a lot. I do not recognize anything.
So one of you get...
I got pink.
Carson, what color did you get?
Pink.
Pink. What'd you get, Jed?
Green.
Green, and you got blue? Cool.
What'd you
Do you guys know what those are?
No. The Mickey Mouse things at Disney World, you scan the thing and blah, blah.
Was that what you use them for?
Yeah. So you can go on rides and stuff.
Oh,
you
cool.
scan them and you can go back through.
So why would you have one?
Why do you three have some?
Because we're going to Disney World.
Because we're going to Disney World!
What?
Next Friday,
Seriously?
all 5 of us are going to be at Disney World, going crazy, Magic Kingdom, riding rides, hanging out with Mickey.
Yes!
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 You're okay, baby.
Are you serious?
Excited.
We're serious.
No, you're not.
I promise.
Just crying. Oh my gosh.
Are those tears of joy or tears of sadness? That was just a fun memory. My kids going crazy. My oldest son screaming, throwing the thing up in the air. I just remember, like, not only in that moment, that it was everything that they wanted. They wanted to be able to go to Disney. They wanted to be able to experience it. And even though we only gave them a short period of time for them to look forward to it, the anticipation that they had from that moment until we took the trip was unbelievable. I mean, it was all they thought about. It consumed what they thought and what they dreamed about. I mean, it was everything. And see, I think when you and I have a destination in mind, we live in preparation for that. When we have something that's a focus of ours, of where we're going or what we hope to accomplish or where the destination that we hope to get to, I mean, it consumes us. It consumes our thought process, our desires, our motivation. Like we live in preparation for that place, that destination that we can't wait to go to, right? And see, I think as followers of Jesus, we've been called to set our mind and our focus on a specific destination. I think we've been called to keep our eyes fixed on something or someone that we're going to spend eternity with. And it's something that's much more significant than, and in a lot of ways, much different than what the world around us focuses on. And so in Colossians chapter 3, verse 1, the Apostle Paul challenges us as followers of Jesus with something specific. Here's what he says in verse 1. He says, since you have been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth. For you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Christ in God. And when Christ, who is your life, is revealed to the whole world, you will share in all his glory. Now, in these few verses, the Apostle Paul is telling us, hey, since you've been raised to life, since you are a follower of Jesus, set your sights on the reality of heaven. He says, why do we do that? Because that's where Christ is seated. And as you read these couple verses, I mean, there's so many different things that you can pick out of here, but he talks about Christ being our life. He talks about how we're to focus on not on this life, but on the next life. Because he kind of paints this picture of Jesus being everything to us. And because Jesus has saved us, and because Jesus is now seated at the right hand of God the Father, and because Jesus is our life, our focus should be on Jesus. And it should be on where Jesus is at the moment, seated at the right hand of the Father. And it should be focused on what Jesus has prepared us for. And what Jesus came to do is not to give us more things to enjoy in this world. No, Jesus came to make us right with himself, to establish us as part of his kingdom, and to remind us that the things that we see all around us are not what our focus and our attention and our values should be found in. But rather, we were meant and created to live with Jesus, to know him, to walk with him, to experience the joy and the beauty of a relationship with him. And so the difference between that and how we see the world around us live and the people of the world, I mean, as you look around, like so much of the people of this world are consumed with the things of this world, right? It's the latest, next gadget. It's what's on, this channel. It's on what's on my phone. What can I find value and significance in? And it's so often the things that we see and touch and feel all around us. It's that relationship with that other individual, or it's that having the latest and the greatest, or it's the money or the possessions. It's all these kind of things that the world is saying, hey, if you will set your heart on these things, you will be happy and content and satisfied. And that's the way that the world lives. They set their sights on the realities of the world. And yet, as followers of Jesus, Jesus is saying, hey, don't get caught up in this. Don't get caught up on setting your sights on the realities of the world around you and on finding your significance and your value and your happiness on the things that this world has to offer. Rather, set your sights on something better, something greater, something that's not temporary, but that's eternal. Because you have been created, and this is Jesus talking, you have been created to know me and to walk with me. Now, I don't know if any of you that are watching this have ever been with us to Nicaragua, but I think about the students who come with us on that trip. They sign up for a trip in, September, that doesn't actually take place until February. Students that sign up for our Nicaragua trip don't sign up the week before. It's not a last-minute decision. It's not like, oh yeah, that'll be fun, I'll sign up, and then they go the next week. No, this is something that they sign up for in advance, and it's something that requires a lot of preparation, a lot of work to be able to get ready for that trip. So not only are they're not just signing up, but then they've got to raise a ton of money to be able to go. And there's a lot of conversations they got to have. They got to convince mom and dad to let them go to a third world country without them. So that takes some preparation and some work. And then they're raising money. And then as we get closer, they're preparing their own heart and their relationship with God. We're meeting together as a team to build relationships and to do some trainings and to just equip them to get ready for what's going to take place on the trip. I mean, they sign up and over a period of 6 months, there's a lot of preparation for a trip that's going to, in a lot of ways, change their perspective. And not only that, but as the trip gets closer, the anticipation builds. They look forward to it. It's something they can't wait. I mean, it consumes their mind and their thoughts and everything about what they're doing. And I think that's the mindset that the Apostle Paul is telling us. Set your sight on the realities of heaven. It's going to be so incredible and so amazing. This is what you were created for and what you were meant for. And so everything that you're doing on this earth is to prepare you for what's next. See, heaven is a reality that we live in, not a fairy tale that we wish for. Like the Apostle Paul is again saying, set your sights on the realities of heaven. It is a reality. It's not like, oh man, that would be so cool, heaven, like what a cool concept. No, no, no. It's the reality. And as followers of Jesus, we understand that we were not made for this world. We were made for something bigger, something better. That this is just our temporary home. But that one day Jesus is going to return, and whether we're still on this planet or whether we have already died, like we're going to experience eternity with Jesus. And that's what we were made for, is to live in all eternity in worship and in relationship to Jesus. And long after the things of this world have faded away and been cast aside and been ruled insignificant, we're going to live forever. We're going to continue to experience the joy and the beauty of being with Jesus and living in relationship with him and experiencing all that he has for us. And it's not harps and clouds and, singing angelic music together. It's working and eating and like celebrating and enjoying the relationships, not just with God, but with each other. It is going to be that one day Jesus is going to reconcile and redeem all of creation back to the way he originally created it, without sin and without death and without pain and suffering and all those things, that those things will be gone and we will experience the beauty of how God made the world to be in the beginning, before sin ever entered the picture. And so here's the crazy thing. You and I, if we're honest, we long for that now. Right? I mean, we long to get rid of sin. We wish that there wasn't brokenness and pain and all of that, right? I mean, that's kind of the reality that we live in every day, but yet we get so caught up in the reality that that's what we experience now. And so we forget that in the future, that one day that all of that's going to be no more. That's going to be cast aside. That's going to be destroyed once and for all. And so what our heart really longs for is to get rid of sin and death and pain and all of that is going to be our reality. For those of us that know Jesus and are followers of him, have accepted the forgiveness that he's offered, we will live in that reality. And so what that means for us is that everything we do now should be with that in mind. That should be our focus. Now, maybe you've heard this saying, like, don't be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, right? You've heard that before. I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, it sounds good like on a cat poster or like a postcard or something. And I get in concept, it's like, hey, right now, don't be like in a fairy tale land or like in a dream somewhere that you miss all that God has now. And that's true to a certain extent, but that runs counter to what Paul's saying. He's saying we're to set our sights on the reality of heaven, which means we should live every day thinking about and dreaming about and longing for and looking forward to our future home in heaven. But what that should require is for everything that we do on this planet, that if it doesn't matter in eternity, then should it really be our focus today? Now, it doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the things that God's given us. It doesn't mean that we can't celebrate in those things. I think God's given us some of those things to enjoy, but we don't get our priorities out of whack. We don't start finding significance and happiness and joy and identity and all those things that were just given to us as temporary things. Rather, we live every day knowing that, man, what I do now is going to impact eternity. And so it's got to be significant. It's got to matter in eternity if I'm going to take place or take part in it today. So here's our main point for us for this week. We are different because we don't live as if this world is our home, and we don't hope in what this world has to offer. We're different, set apart, because we understand that our home is not here. We have our home in heaven, and we set our sights on that reality, and we hope in something greater than anything that this world has to offer. I want to close this week and this year by reading from Revelation 21 as you fast forward to the end of all things and when sin and death is no more. And here is what it says in Revelation 21, verse 3. It says, I heard a loud shout from the throne saying, look, God's home is now among his people. He will live with them, and they will be his people. God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death or sorrow or crying or pain. All these things are gone forever." And the one sitting on the throne said, "Look, I am making everything new." And then he said to me, "Write this down, for what I tell you is trustworthy and true." And he also said, "It is finished. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To all who are thirsty, I will give freely from the springs of the water of life. All who are victorious will inherit all these blessings, and I will be their God, and they will be my children." I love the hope in that. And I just want to encourage you, students, as you're watching this, that God has prepared a place for us. That if you're a follower of Jesus, that this world is not all that there is, and you don't have to find hope and significance in the things that this world offers, but in Jesus and who he is, and ultimately what he has prepared for you, that he is going to make all things new. And I wonder, can you see it? Do you long for that future home? And as you live every day on this planet, even in the midst of the brokenness that we see all around us, to know that this is not the end, but rather that Jesus is going to come. He's going to right every wrong. He's going to bring us into the kingdom of heaven, and we're going to experience the joy and the beauty of living life in eternity with him and all that he's created for us. If you've never put your faith and trust in Jesus as Savior, then that's an opportunity for you to experience that too. Jesus gave up his life for you. He wants you to know him and to have a relationship with him. So I would invite you, as you may be watching this video, just to have that conversation with him. Say, "Jesus, I confess my sin, my need for you. I understand that I can't be good enough to earn forgiveness and salvation on my own, but I trust in you and what you've done. I want a relationship with you and to know you and to walk with you." Reckless, let me pray for you, and then we'll close this video. God, thank you for who you are. Thank you, Jesus, that you've called us to be set apart, to be different from the world around us. And it's not just in the way that we live every day here and the things that we do day in and day out. It's also in terms of our future, our eternity. God, that we will experience an eternity with you. And we can set our sights on that reality and to live for the things of heaven and rather than the things of earth. And so I pray that you would help us to do that. God, I pray for these students who are watching, that you protect them, watch over them, lead them, and guide them over the summer. And God, we look forward to what you have in the future and as we look ahead to next year. In Jesus' name, amen. Reckless, we love you.
Man, guys, what a great message from Todd, and it's hard to say it, man, but it is this was the last Reckless weekly video for the school year. We have nothing planned over the summer for you guys, so this is going to be our last videos, but it's been a pleasure and an honor to be able to just be a part of these throughout the course of this year. And for next year, if any of you guys have any suggestions that you want to put in the comment section down below for things we can improve on, or things you want to see differently, or things you want to keep, because this type of structured weekly video is not something we've really done until like 1 or 2 years ago. So it's something that we're just trying to figure out how to make bigger and better as we go into next year. August the 7th, as Todd mentioned earlier, is going to be the first week of the next school year for Reckless. And also, if you know any 8th graders, or if you're an 8th grader yourself and you found this video, we have freshman senior meetups that we're doing over the summer, and those freshman gatherings are going to be Sunday the 26th of June and then Sunday the 24th of July for those. And definitely, if you're an 8th grader or if you know an 8th grader, we definitely want you to be a part of those to get plugged in to our high school ministry. Once again, guys, I'm so grateful that you guys have tuned in over the course of the year. Maybe if you just tuned in for the first time, thank you so much. And you guys have a blessed summer. And just know, Reckless, you are loved.